This watch review right here marks a pivotal moment for my YouTube channel. Seriously guys, it's next level. Let's get into it.
Hey, did you know it's a great day to wear a watch?
What's up, Schwartz Force? Welcome back to the channel. In case if you're new here, my name's Dave. May the Schwartz be with you. My channel features a variety of watch content for all budget and types of enthusiasts. This is the first luxury watch that has been kindly loaned in for review on my channel, so if you are new, please consider subscribing. Now, quick caveat to that, I still plan to review a whole variety of watches, so I don't want my current and prior subscribers to think all of a sudden I'm dropping the more affordable options and micro brands. On the contrary, in fact, this watch right here is one that's coming up soon. It is the Escapement Time Flieger watch, so stay tuned for that. Now, enough jibber jabber, guys. Let's start the unboxing of this Grand Seiko Heritage Collection reference SBGR317G. I think that's right. And while I set that up, let's take a quick moment to give a shout out to Top Notch Timepieces, which is the company that I have recently discovered through Clubhouse, and they're here locally in San Antonio, Texas. And I'm working with Mario there to help source my first Tudor Black Bay purchase. So if you're in San Antonio or surrounding areas, definitely check them out, and please give a thumbs up to this video as a huge thank you for them lending this Grand Seiko into the channel. If you're interested in purchasing this watch, I'll have links to their website and Instagram page in the description for you. Let's get started. All right, guys, here it is, the Grand Seiko box. Look at this texture that it has. It feels nice and substantial, and as you see there, that font there for the Grand Seiko, very cool. I actually like the contrast with these dark gray stripes on the side, but let's go ahead and open her up. Okay, and then we see the tag with the reference number SBGR317G. A couple extra links here as well. We'll set those aside. This is the limited warranty booklet. Even the print on the paper looks very cool. There's this type of, I'm not sure the name of this paper, but it has a really nice feel to it. It's textured. See that texturing on there? But it feels really nice, and I have to be very careful because obviously I don't want to damage anything with this. So this kind of helps you lift the box out, and we'll set that on the side there very carefully. And then as you can see here, we have the explanatory notes. So there you see, very cool. So this is talking about the accuracy of the movement, the standards for the watch, the movement, as well as how to care for it. So very cool. We'll set that aside. And then down in here, Grand Seiko lion logo down below. And then this, of course, is the operating instructions manual. So I don't want to open this and bend the spine of the booklet, so I'm just going to go ahead and set that back down in there. I'm going to set down this Saffiano leather mat. We'll open this up. All right, and then we have a little protective sheet and a polishing cloth. There she is. So in the inside of the box, we see the Grand Seiko, again, the lion logo there. And then this box is done really nicely. It has these ribbons here, and even the same thing, the satin pouch pillow has that ribbon there. Really nice, very, very fancy. But here is the watch. Wow. Let's go ahead and start off with measurements. This Grand Seiko has a case diameter of 40 millimeters. If we include the screw down crown, that comes out to 42 millimeters. The lug to lug height measures in at 46 millimeters, and the case thickness with the flat sapphire crystal comes out to 13 millimeters. The watch has a lug width of 20 millimeters, and the bracelet here does taper down to 18 millimeters. Okay guys, here we are up close on the Grand Seiko, and I gotta say, my initial impressions with this watch, I was really blown away at the overall heft and weight of it. This thing is very heavy. This weighs like 3 times the weight of my Seiko Fuyu Geshki watch, which I have on over here. So in case if you didn't know, it is a great day to wear a watch. And this is my Fuyu Geshki watch. So, of course, representing Seiko, since we're doing the Grand Seiko. But make sure you stay tuned. A little bit later in the video, I'm going to compare that side by side with this and kind of point out some of the major differences between Seiko versus Grand Seiko now that I've had the opportunity to have this in the metal and wear it on the wrist. So as you can see, one, the heft, the weight of it is one of the first things that I noticed. The other is the finishing. That Zaratsu polishing is no joke. It is literally a mirror finish that I can see myself in and all of the reflections around me. So it almost has a black hue to it in different lighting. So you see how it goes from light to almost black. Very cool. And also the case shape, that almost beveled knife edge that it has on the case is just amazing. So you'll notice that since this is pre-owned, there are some very fine micro marring there on the finishing, but I promise I didn't do any of that, guys. That was not for me. I would love to get to the point in life where if I did leave marks on a watch like this, it would greatly increase its value and demand. But no, this I have babied this thing because obviously it is not mine. It's just on loan. But you can see, look at that crown, the Grand Seiko in that font, that coin edge there, and then the way it transitions from the brushed or satin finish right into that high polish. Just everything is very sharp, very clean. Look at the bezel, as you can see, nice and thin. But the finishing blew me away. This watch really opened my eyes to appreciating how highly finished a watch can be done. Just holding it here, you notice, look at those hour markers, the indices, how it's just almost like glitter, it just sparkles with movement. In the daylight, it's even more amplified. I'll show you a quick video. I was in my car and I had this watch on, and just any slight movement, this thing is just gonna sparkle and catch your eye. It's very distracting, very beautiful, beautiful watch. Look at these hands. The way the finishing is on the hands, almost like a knife edge, like a surgical blade, brushed finish flat, and then we have those highly beveled edges in high polish. And those Dauphine style hands are just amazing. And then of course that thin needle second hand sweeping away there. Now of course with Grand Seiko, you know, there's the high beat movement and then the spring drive movement, but the movement powering this watch is the Grand Seiko Caliber 9S65, which is a 35 joule automatic movement that features hand winding, a date complication, and 72-hour power reserve. As you can see here, it's finished beautifully, and the movement is an improved version over the older Grand Seiko Caliber 9S55. Let's go over to the bracelet. Now as you see with these links, it's a combination between high polish and then of course satin finish. I know some people have pointed out the integration of the bracelet to the case, and I know that some people don't care for this. I actually think it looks really cool, this kind of stepped pattern that you see there from the case to the bracelet, but that's just, I guess, personal preference. But just look at the fitment there, no gaps. This is not jingly jangly like we have seen with other Seiko watches. And as you can see, a milled clasp, double safety release, and then we have this kind of block style clasp portion with the Grand Seiko logo engraved there. Now these are screw and tube links, so these are screwed in, held in place with screws on each side. One thing that I really love is the way that this bracelet feels, how it curves and then hugs your wrist, and you'll notice that each section is separate. So to kind of explain it, like you'll see how you can just bend it all the way down going with your wrist size, but even backwards, how much give there is. So it's really flexible as far as fitting your wrist and conforming to it. So just to show you here on my 7-inch wrist, how it fits. Very comfortable, and it just follows all the way around. There's no gaps, and the way that that case shape is, how it rests on the wrist, just fits beautifully. I thought I knew good finishing, but I had no clue, guys. This is on a different level. It is simply amazing. Look at this thing. Look at how that date box is formed right there at 3 o'clock. It does of course have the black date wheel, which I think is really nice. This is just a high enamel gloss. You can see it reflecting underneath it. It's like a mirror. Everything is just mirror-like with this watch. Like even the dial color, it's like a black piano gloss finish. It's really beautiful. And as you see with those indice markers, double batons at 12, 6, and 9, and then single batons that are all beveled and polished. It's amazing. Automatic indication just above 6 o'clock, and then Grand Seiko branding and font at 12 o'clock. Now the crown is very nice, very smooth, screws in just beautifully, no effort trying to find the threads. When we pull the crown out into position 2, you can see the hands move very smooth, feels great. And then of course the time change starts just at about 11 p.m. And then just after midnight, 12:05-ish, it clicks over. And again, that black date wheel just looks great. This watch is even easy to read in low light just because of how reflective everything is. So very cool. But let's go ahead and get this on the time graph and see what kind of accuracy we're dealing with on the Grand Seiko. Okay, so I've had it running for a few minutes and you can see it just hovering straight there at -3 seconds per day, which is just amazing. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, but Dave, tell us, is Grand Seiko really that much different from Seiko? Well, I have them both, so let's do a side-by-side comparison and find out. How does Seiko compare with Grand Seiko? Are they even in the same realm? Are they close? Well, short answer, no, they're not even close. They are completely different. And while they're both beautiful and have their own kind of distinct look, for the price point, yeah, I wouldn't expect them to be the same. The Seiko is finished nicely, but the Grand Seiko is finished perfectly, immaculate finishing. The Seiko Presage has some nice polishing, nice domed sapphire crystal thanks to Brandon with case and dial. But even if we get up close, the date box is nice. The hour markers are, yeah, polished pretty well, beveled nice and clean. That dial is beautiful, but it's just not the same. Whereas you see with the Grand Seiko, it's much more thick and substantial, but it wears really comfortably. It doesn't feel like a thicker watch, even though it might actually be. And then you see with the way that the bezel is on the Fuyugeshiki, it's kind of short, relatively thin, and just goes down into the case and stops right there. Whereas the Grand Seiko, it sits atop it, almost like a separate piece that's been set onto the case. It's just a different level of attention to detail. So even holding them here side by side, subtle movements, you see the Seiko kind of has a little bit of flash to it, but the Grand Seiko is just night and day. But I'll let you guys be the judge and decide, is it worth the extra money to go for the Grand Seiko? So my personal feeling after having this on the wrist and seeing it in the metal, yeah, it is. The Seiko is a great watch. You're not getting anything bad or wrong necessarily with it. Since I upgraded this one to Sapphire, I love this watch, don't get me wrong. And while I know Grand Seiko and Seiko are two different companies, I kind of like the idea of comparing it with a Toyota versus a Lexus. I understand vehicles are mass produced, whereas watches are not in the same fashion or manner, but I like the idea of the finishing, the design, and just the overall craftsmanship and quality that goes into a luxury vehicle is going to be that more in line with a Grand Seiko. And like Toyota, your Seiko is going to be a great everyday, tremendous value beater. And of course, you can spend a lot of money on a Seiko, you can spend a lot of money on a Toyota. And that's kind of where I come up with that analogy. I hope that makes sense. Please drop me a comment on what you think of the Grand Seiko SBGR317G. This watch really took my breath away and I'm kind of sad I got to give it back, but don't worry. I have a really cool watch. As long as Mario still has it in inventory, I'm going to try and get my hands on the Omega Seamaster No Time to Die Bond watch and review it for you guys in the metal. We will see if I'm lucky enough to have that happen. But anyway, if you like this video, again, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't joined the Schwartz Force yet, you can tap on my face over here. If you like this video and want to see more like it, check this one out. I think you guys will really enjoy it. But as always, I'll look forward to seeing you guys at the next one. Till then, may the Schwartz be with you. Take care.